The weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Women need to be heard. You know, women have been silenced for so long. Why should we get called so many names for sticking up for our country, you know?
Yes, I hit the streets with patriotic British women at a Pink Ladies protest. Are their voices now the loudest, most ignored voices in the country? And
the serious answer is to smash the gangs.
Well, a massive migrant expose. Middle Eastern frauds are using loopholes in our system with a 92% success rate to flood Britain. And Starmer's Labour government knows about it and are refusing to act. Are they complicit? Also,
Come here. Is everything going good?
Very good.
That's very nice of you here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice.
yes, America has launched a brutal public attack on Britain and the European Union over illegal migration and Pakistani rape gangs. I've got the full story. Also,
I've been told that the government is now inviting in left-wing activists to look at its definition on Islamophobia.
Interesting. Is Labour quietly cooking up a new Islamophobia law plot and inviting far-left activists to rubber stamp that secret definition? Plus,
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
it's Groundhog Day, isn't it? Because Trump has torched Zelensky. Zero gratitude, he says. His 28-point peace plan is splitting the West wide open. Is this war about to end or explode? And on my panel to talk about all these stories tonight, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, the former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. And also, an international superstar just went nuclear at the United Nations, calling out the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. How many millions of followers do you think unfollowed her on social media?
Stand here as a proud New Yorker with a deep sense of gratitude that we live in a country where we can freely and safely worship God regardless of one's creed, background, or politics.
Well, you don't mess even with our pink ladies, do you? I think I'm the luckiest man in Britain. Look at all these pink ladies here behind me. There we go, yes. Here in Chelmsford in Essex today, where they're having a monumental pink ladies protest here today with many speakers. I'll speak to some of them now.
I think it's been great. I mean, look, the weather has been atrocious. I mean, even this poor little dog wants to go home, look, but it's been freezing and raining. But you know what? The thing is, as we always say, if patriots are really patriotic and they're really determined about a cause, they'll come out rain or shine. And that's why we're all here. So we're all freezing to death. But the thing is, the women and children of this country, their safety, knows no bounds, and we have to do everything we can to protect them. And if it's raining and snowing, we'll still be here.
And trust me, it was freezing there yesterday. But there is quite a clear and consistent message from these ladies as to why their voices are needed now more than ever.
Women need to be heard. Women have been silenced for so long. Why should we get called so many names for sticking up for our country, Women fought to be able to vote. Women threw themselves in front of horses to be able to vote. One of my family members in the 1800s got arrested for being in a pub outside of ours. Women are finally having their voices heard, and it's so important.
Yeah, our women's voices do need to be heard. It's young girls and women that are the highest risk of violence and sexual assault by illegal migrants in our country. That's as we've reported many times here on GB News. Just last night, I recounted the harrowing story of an illegal migrant who was admitted to raping a 12-year-old girl. Now, many on the left call these pink ladies far-right and racist, as you can imagine. Here's what the pink ladies had to say about that.
It's a really important movement because it is a movement that is led by women, supported by men. And at the end of the day, we need to come together. And when women stand together, when we rise together, we're a force to be reckoned with. And all we are doing is standing up for the safety and well-being of women and children in our local communities. That's not far right, it's right.
Yes, this is a country-wide movement of patriotic and passionate women. They've travelled far and wide to show their solidarity with these pink ladies yesterday. What's brought you all the way down from East Yorkshire today?
So I'm one of those people, you can't sit on the sofa for too long and watch all these passionate women come together. And obviously, and through work, I got in touch with Orla, and I think anyone around the country, female or even supporters of females and family men, can get involved with the Pink Ladies. We want to be run by women. I am a woman. I care about safety of my own child and my own future in this country to be able to walk my dog, ultimately. And yeah, these ladies are brilliant, and got to get off your sofa and come join us.
You know, while I was there, I bumped into a woman who was sadly homeless in Chelmsford. Here is her damning verdict.
But a lot of these people are single men. Now, if you was born in this country and you're a single man or single woman, you do not stand a chance of getting any social housing whatsoever. You could be dying on the streets and all you will get is a sleeping bag and 2 bottles of cold water. Because if they want us to take down our English flags, then everyone else across the country should take down their national flags.
Yeah, hear to that, eh? I also bumped into local Essex MP James McMurdoch, who had this to say about the protest.
I think they're very brave, and I think they're doing really quite important work. The only thing I'd say, and it's one of the reasons why I'm down here, just unofficially, just to sort of show my face, is I'm sorry they're having to do this. You know, a lot of the challenges we're facing are quite preventable. You know, we need some more serious and more sensible policy around a sort of Britain kind of prioritising the safety of its citizens and things like that. And I think a lot of people, and I don't like talking about these things, but a lot of people feel like that's not happening. And these very, very brave women are doing a good job of putting that voice out.
But lots of raise the colours here as well. We can see on the flags up there. Lots of people call that far right. What do you make of that?
Oh, come on, it's nonsense, isn't it? This is just a little bit of patriotism, you know. We've got a really, really rich, beautiful history, and I think the only thing to be ashamed of is to be ashamed of that. So, yeah, brilliant people. Go on, Essex.
There we go. And we also had one very special guest appearance from a dear friend of this show.
Media, the mainstream media, would like to deem people like me as extreme or far right for protesting outside these hotels. So when the Pink Ladies come along, and I was speaking to Orla about it, it was about changing the perception. These are worried mothers, worried grandmothers, aunties, sisters, and there's no more powerful message than a woman saying, I feel scared, or I'm scared for my family, my daughters. And people really started listening once the Pink Ladies stood up.
Well, on that note, I think we should discuss the importance of women's voices in this national emergency on this show with my panel. And on that panel, I've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and the star himself, businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Adam, well, I'll start with you, because we just saw you there. You were there yesterday. You actually spoke to the Pink Ladies. You addressed the crowd there. It was quite impressive, given how horrendous that weather was, and it really did feel like we were in the Arctic there yesterday. Great turnout, lots of women there. Why do you think women's voices are needed now more than ever?
Because we have the establishment and the mainstream media, as I said on that clip there, that want to try and demonise fathers like me. I've got 2 daughters. That's why I've been in Epping and so passionate with that cause. But it's so easy for the left just to say, oh, he's anti-immigration, he's anti-migrant. No, I'm not. I'm for women's rights. At the end of the day, it's women and girls that are being targeted by foreign men, unchecked, undocumented foreign men from cultures far different from our own, that treat women in their own country terribly. So they're being bussed in to this country in their tens of thousands. We're dumping them amongst our women and girls and hoping for the best. We've had the 12-year-old girl that was raped. We've had the 14-year-old girl that was sexually assaulted in Epping. We've had a murder, of several murders. We've had suspected terrorists, Alex. How can this be that we're the bad guys for protesting this? Look, at the end of the day, this is a movement led by women, supported by men. I will stand there every time I can, and I've got the free time to do so, because I would hope if I wasn't here, someone would do that for my daughters.
Absolutely right.
And for anyone that wants to label us far right, they need to go and have a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because we are standing up for safety, and it's clearly a national emergency, and our women, our girls deserve better.
Linda, women on the panel, come to you. Do you think women are being listened to enough in this crisis? Because, of course, you know, it is women who are at the end of all of the, in my opinion, I know there's other forms of violence, but they're at the end of the sexual violence when it comes to illegal migrants in this country, who I also do know there is sexual violence against women by British people, by the way. However, the difference is that these people shouldn't be here. These extra crimes wouldn't be happening if these men weren't in Britain. Do you think women need to have a bigger voice in this?
Well, the truth is that at the moment they've got some traction, but the government isn't listening hard enough to these women. Now, what's happened here is you've got these migrants, but sometimes these migrants are only men, they're male-only hotels, and they're parachuted into the middle of communities, really, and that's what's causing the problem. Because, let's face it, the countries that they've come from, Iran, Iraq, parts of Kuwait, Afghanistan, etc., they do treat women badly. That's why women from those countries, and I've worked with them, have tried to escape because they don't like the way they're treated there, particularly Afghanistan, where the girls, contracts are made to marry girls as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. They're married by 14. You know, some of them have had 10 children in Afghanistan by the time they're 30. They're obviously treated as second-class citizens in those countries. And so what do you expect? They're not going to change their culture overnight. I'm not saying that all immigrant men are bad.
None of us are. None of us are.
Never. I would never say that. But the fact of the matter is that it's a bad idea to have male-only hotels. And one of the things that really frightens me is you've got these management companies like Serco and ClearSpring who handled them, who use terminology like this service user, etc., instead of migrants or even asylum seekers. And the problem is you've got a total lack of accountability, therefore. So the government is not in control of what some of those companies are doing, and they're not doing their jobs properly often enough. And we're spending so much money on those contracts. Some of those contracts go until 2029.
I think some of them actually might have been extended
further
into 2034, actually, some of them now. I mean, this is what we're talking about, isn't it? It's a never-ending crisis. Paul, I'll come to you because Kemi Badenoch and other leaders have said something interesting, and I tend to agree with Kemi Badenoch on this one. She says not all cultures are equal, and I think she's right. I think there are some people who come from specific cultures, not everybody from those cultures, but it seems to me more and more likely that, given the statistics we're at least aware of today, that some men from different cultures are more likely to commit a sexual crime against a woman than others. And therefore, I would say we have to stop this legal migrant crisis.
Well, I completely agree that if we believe in democracy, in the rule of law, in equal rights, freedom of speech, these basics of the Enlightenment, if you will, then that is the superior way of living, and that's why I'm in politics, because I believe that's the best way everyone. I don't think some countries, are less deserving of democracy than others. I think everyone should have the same pluralistic democracy with contested ideas, freedom to speak out, and particularly equal rights for women. Linda's absolutely right on the hotels, by the way. That's one of the biggest public policy disasters of the last 20 years. It's costing us all a fortune. I mean, this government is going to try and close these hotels down. It'll take time, and, we're in a mess over it. But I think it's quite right, because sticking them in hotels has been a disaster, absolute
what they're going to do
disaster.
is, they're going to move them onto bases, which they'll still be allowed to roam freely in those communities, and then they're going to move, some of them will be moving into houses on people's streets, privately rented houses.
On the hotels, I think we need to go after the profits of the companies that have profited from it. I think you can sequestrate some of that money and
that's not their fault. That's the government's fault for agreeing to it.
Well, I think you can retrofit that and say, actually, we shouldn't be creating millionaires out of this system of hotels. And I think that's wrong. I've said before on this show, and I'll say it again, I think the young men in particular that are just waiting around for their processing to happen should be put in high-vis and being sent out to clean up neighbourhoods and, pick up litter and clean graffiti off walls, and they could get their daily allowance they get anyway for doing that brigaded work, so people can see they're doing something useful. But the most important thing for me is that you reduce the pull factors. So when Shabana Mahmood has talked about a Denmark-style asylum system where you stop the desire for people to come here in the first place, I think that's one of the best ways to fix the issue, to reduce the actual numbers overall.
I'll ask you on Paul's comment there about Shabana Mahmood's reforms. Do you think they're going to go far enough? Because I don't think they're going to stop anything.
They're not going to get through. Yeah. Let's be truthful now.
Why do you say that?
Because half the Labour government and Labour MPs have written before letters stopping deportation flights for actual criminal migrants. Sure. This is not going to go through. This is rhetoric to get on the front page and to look like you're acting tough. It's never going to get through the Labour Party. But one thing
I know the Labour Party better than you, with respect, and I would say that if you put a three-line whip on that and you tell MPs, look, this is the government's policy, some will rebel. You're right. There are loony lefties that will rebel against it, but not in enough numbers, would I say.
But let's just say how serious this is. The reason we was in Chelmsford on Saturday is because Braintree is a few miles away. They are bussing in migrants, hundreds of migrants a day into Chelmsford. We're getting lewd behaviour in that town, women feeling intimidated. Men are getting drunk on taxpayers' money and getting bussed out.
That's disgraceful.
That is a disgrace, and we are the mugs as the taxpayer for paying for it.
Agreed.
We'll obviously have to confirm all those details, and we don't have evidence to prove that Essex Police, I'm sure, would deny it, Adam, but there we go. We'll have a look into it for you. Linda, final word to you on this one.
I think it's not just areas like that as well, because I've got one family member who lives fairly near Heathrow Airport where they have the very, very big hotels full of asylum seekers. And those two present a danger. They're not in the community, so it's not quite the same. But someone tells me that once they pick up their cheque for whatever sum of money it is...
It's not much, though, is it?
It isn't much.
Yes, well, we have some gambling as well.
But they're down in the town centre buying alcohol, just like you say, and lounging about all day. And it's that kind of behaviour that I think women find threatening. Even if nothing actually happens, in the majority of cases, they don't feel comfortable walking around their hometowns.
And that's unacceptable.
And it's unacceptable, yeah.
All right, well, listen, thank you all very, very much for a hearty debate on that one. Personally, I think once we start deporting them, this problem will end, won't it? Anyway, time for the Great British Giveaway now, and there's just 2 weeks left to grab your chance to enjoy Christmas on us this year. 40 grand tax-free cash in shopping vouchers and GB News festive goodie bag. Here's all the details you need.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for that big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, well, if your blood wasn't boiling already, do you think Labour is quietly cooking up a new Islamophobia law plot and inviting far-left activists to rubber stamp their secret definition without you even seeing it first? But next.
Come here. Is everything going good?
Very good.
It's very nice that you're here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice.
Sorry, that clip just sends me every time I see it. America has launched a brutal public attack on Britain and the EU over illegal migration and Pakistani rape gangs. I've got the full story for you. See you in a minute.
GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Britain and the United States have always boasted of a special relationship, but how far should this alliance go? Successive presidents have on many occasions given their opinions on UK affairs, and in recent months, countless figures on the American right have commented on Britain's free speech and immigration woes. Now, the US State Department has posted on X, slamming Britain's management of immigration, blaming our inability to control it on the grooming/rape gang crisis. Well, earlier this year, Elon Musk persistently played pressure on X and played a key role in establishing the new grooming gangs inquiry. Well, Donald Trump has told the Prime Minister to use the Navy in the English Channel and said he must drill, baby, drill, drill, baby, drill, there you go, in the North Sea. But is it time the United States butted out of British politics? We're now joined by the chairman of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Swenson, and the editor of Turn Left, Ben McLean. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me this evening. Ben, I'll start with you. This is quite an unprecedented intervention by the State Department. They've put out a tweet. In that tweet, of course, they point not just to Britain, but to the whole of the EU's immigration woes. But they also point out Pakistani rape gangs in this tweet, as you can see it on your screen here. Ben, what do you make of this? Do you think the Americans should butt out?
Yeah, I think this is the dying throes of a administration that knows it's pretty doomed once the Epstein files are released. I think that's largely what it comes down to. But you've got to bear in mind for this whole thing that collated Ministry of Justice and ONS data shows that white men make up 89% of CSA convictions, while being like 82% of the population, and Asian men, who are supposedly like the grooming gang, sort of like they're represented as the image of the grooming gang for phenomenon, if you like. They make up 6% of CSA convictions while being 9% of the total population. So Asian men are actually underrepresented. That's what the statistics show us.
Well, Ben, just briefly on that, just because we've got to be careful, I just don't want to mislead, because we do try to separate CSA specifically and rape gangs, because obviously, as far as we're aware, rape gangs, there's massive overrepresentation of Pakistani ethnic heritage people in that proportion of rape gangs. But however,
that's not what the data shows. But that isn't what
you
the
can
data
disagree
shows.
with me on that one. That's fine.
No, because a lot of this misinformation comes from a group called
let's
Quilliam.
focus on. Yeah, okay. Well, look, I don't want to get into that, but let's focus on the US. Do you think the United States should be getting involved in British politics?
Oh no, I think it is purely a distraction from the Epstein files. I do have to ask as well. Of course, if these files are released and it turns out that Donald Trump is involved in them, the tweet thread that we started with said that the U.S. embassies will document crimes and human rights abuses committed by those of a migrant background. Now, if Trump is in the Epstein files, will the embassies document those crimes committed by Trump because he fits that description, right? He would be a man of a migrant background because he's Scottish family, moved to the U.S., committing serious sex crimes, if that's the case, right? Just a question for you.
Okay, yeah, great. Greg, I'll pass that straight over to you.
Yeah, that's pretty out there, that whole argument. I think the Epstein files, believe me, if there was anything negative about President Trump in the Epstein files, the Democrats would have released it in October of 2024 during the election. They controlled Washington for 4 years prior to the president winning the election and had the Epstein files. So there's a lot more downside.
Unless the Clintons are still are in it as well, in which case they might not want to, right?
There's a lot more downside for Democrats. All of the donations from Jeffrey Epstein were to Democrats. And so I think there's a lot of potential downside, but we'll see. We might be disappointed. There might not be much news in there. So it might be a great nothing burger, but we'll see. But in terms of this issue, look, it's not new. I mean, the J.D. Vance and others have been critical of the UK for quite some time now, and going back to the Munich conference last spring. So this isn't a distraction about Epstein or anything else. This is just America looks at our closest ally and wants the best for this country. And I think it's also reading the room. I mean, it's a top issue for voters or for citizens in the UK. And I know that the US wants what's best for the UK, A, because of that relationship, and B, it's also important for the US to have, the West, our allies in Europe, have national borders that are paid attention to. And look, and this isn't, virtue signaling. This is dead serious. The president ran on, he read the room as well. He ran on this issue among a few others. And that's one of the reasons he was elected. And he's done a great job managing the border at this point. So that can be done in the UK. So he wants what's best for the UK. I think the entire administration does. And again, it's not virtue signaling, because only 4 years ago, we were in the same boat. We had open borders and a real crisis in this country. So the UK is just where the US was in 2021.
Okay, Ben, I'll pass it back over to you.
It is virtue signaling, though, isn't it? Because, for one thing, you say we've got this special relationship, but you're still imposing tariffs on us. That's the position of America right now. Still imposing tariffs on the UK. All right, they're less than the European Union, but still imposing tariffs on us. And also on Question Time in March this year, you yourself defended Trump's relationship with Andrew Tate. So do you think that Andrew Tate is one of the good immigrants who allegedly commit sex crimes, or does it only apply to immigrants from Asia and Africa?
Yeah, no, I didn't defend that at all. In fact, I have never heard of Andrew Tate.
You did, that's footage.
When that question was asked, what I was saying is that the president notably talks to anybody. He just had a communist at the White House on Friday.
What,
so
even people who allegedly committed human trafficking?
The president
immigrants who allegedly committed human trafficking.
President is willing to talk to anybody. And speaking of human trafficking, the Democrats did a great job of ignoring the sex trafficking and human trafficking that occurred on our border with Mexico for 4 years. So look, I think it's important. It's an important issue, obviously, and that's why the president has addressed it rather aggressively.
Ben, what do you make of that?
Okay. What do you think the motivation would be for the Democrats to ignore that, or do you think that's just a useful lie to tell voters so that they avoid looking at the relationship between Donald Trump,
if I may
Epstein,
interject,
Andrew Tate?
Ben, if I may interject, as the host of this debate, try and answer some of Greg's questions. He's trying to answer yours. You've got to answer some of his. Go on.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, if you want to put it back.
I can tell you why the Democrats ignored the sex trafficking at the border. It's because they wanted more Democrat voters, and they wanted to increase the census, the registration of voters in states where they can have more delegates and more congressmen. So that's pretty straightforward. But I do think
through asylum policy.
Whether you asked me, why the Democrats ignored it, and I'm telling you why. So, and maybe there was other reasons for them to ignore the border, but that's what they did. And so for 4 years, we had 2 million illegal migrants crossing the border, including undocumented children and unescorted children. So it's really a crime what happened. And we of course, the president sees that happening in other countries and wants to do something about it.
Yeah. So of course, there were children crossing the border, including children quite closely involved with Matt Gaetz, who, of course, Donald Trump appointed into a fairly high position, right?
Well, Ben, listen, I mean, if we're talking, listen, I'm just going to interject, Greg, if you don't mind, because Ben, look, if we're going to constantly criticise Donald Trump for people he's met, we should also look at people on the left who have met people. Jeremy Corbyn's met some very nasty people, in my opinion, IRA terrorists, in my opinion.
Sure. How many of them were appointed to his cabinet?
Well, that's not necessarily the point you made about Andrew Tate. So if we're going to take the same thing all in all, Andrew Tate's not a member of the American cabinet, and Trump has met him, but Jeremy Corbyn and others have met him. Can we really hold people accountable for people they've met in passing, particularly quite famous and well-known people who all gravitate in similar circles? Can we really hold them accountable for that?
Well, we can hold them accountable when they give them sanctuary from prosecution, which is what's happened with Andrew Tate, right? He is. He has several accusations of sex crimes committed in other countries. And look, I thought we were against sex crimes committed by immigrants. I thought that was the position we were all agreeing on here. But apparently it's fine when it's some immigrants.
OK. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you very much for joining for our hearty debate this evening, Greg and Ben. Thank you very much. We'll do it again soon, I promise. In the meantime, before we go briefly, some breaking news for you now. The former Prime Minister David Cameron has revealed he was diagnosed with prostate cancer last year after hearing a radio interview that urged men to get tested, that is. Lord Cameron says his wife Samantha pushed him to ask his GP for a PSA test, which he now credits with catching the disease early. Lord Cameron underwent focal therapy and says recent scans show the treatment was successful and is urging men not to ignore their health. We'll bring you more on this breaking story, of course, as we get it. OK. Coming up, Trump has torched Zelensky today. He said zero gratitude on his 28-point peace plan is splitting the West wide open. Is the war about to end or explode? But next.
I've been told that the government is now inviting in left-wing activists to look at its definition on Islamophobia.
Well, is Labour quietly cooking up a new Islamophobia law plot and inviting far-left activists to rubber stamp their secret definition? Well, this is Alex Armstrong Tonight. Find out very shortly.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled weather continues across the central Mediterranean. Heavy rain and thunderstorms expected here. Some areas could even see a month's worth of rainfall in just a few days. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira, but many areas of northern Europe are going to see a very unsettled day on Monday. The poorest of conditions likely across Italy and around the Adriatic coastline. Some heavy showers and thunderstorms here. Still a mix of sunshine and showers into next week, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a mixed picture out there. We have an area of low pressure moving south and eastward, so rain or showers for some of us, and it's still feeling chilly. So the area of low pressure is across the northwest and it's going to gradually sink its way south and eastwards as we go through this evening and overnight. So any outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland will sink their way into Wales, northern England, eventually towards southwest Wales and southern England, accompanied by a strong, brisk northwesterly wind, so coastal gales possible in the south. Further north, holding on to a lot of cloud, but the wind direction now coming in for a northerly. But for most of us, it's a frost-free start to Monday morning, given a lot of cloud cover and showery outbreaks of rain. So there are going to be some showers focused again across eastern Scotland, where they could be falling as snow over the mountains. Drier towards the west with some sunny spells. Best of the sunshine really across Northern Ireland. Dry here to start Monday morning. But across England and Wales, well, it's a cloudy but chilly start to the morning, with the strongest winds still across the southwest and into the English Channel. So as we go through Monday morning and into the afternoon, most of the showers across the southeast will clear their way through. Best of the sunshine across Northern Ireland, into Scotland and eventually into parts of Wales and the southwest as the cloud breaks. Then the focus for the showers really confined to eastern areas, still falling as snow across eastern Scotland. It's going to be feeling chilly out there. We hold on to more of a northerly wind, but feeling more pleasant across Northern Ireland. That leads to a cold start to Tuesday morning, especially in the west, but we actually have a ridge of higher pressure. So for most on Tuesday, it's largely fine and settled. A few showers still running down the eastern coast. Now, as we go Wednesday into Thursday, it's actually turning milder and more unsettled after a cold start. That's all from me. Bye-bye.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. The Shadow Minister for Equality's Claire Cortino, Tory, took to X to voice her concerns about the government's new definition for Islamophobia.
I've been told that the government is now inviting in left-wing activists to look at its definition on Islamophobia. I've been asking for weeks for them to publish this definition so that we can all look at it and scrutinise it properly. I've asked them who is going in to see the definition, and they have refused to tell me. They must come forward, publish the definition, let us all look at it so we can all have a say.
Yes, the Tory MP, amongst other critics, says the proposals will bring back blasphemy laws by the back door and are a violation of freedom of speech. And a new poll says only a fifth of the public backs creating a new definition of Islamophobia. Well, given that the plans have widespread implications, is Claire Cortino right that this process needs a lot more transparency? I've got my panel here to talk about this. Broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Well, Paul, I'll start with you because, I mean, you're on Labour insider yourself, aren't you? Former advisor.
I am.
Claire's raised some concerning points here.
Yeah.
One that, you know, first of all, none of us have heard anything more about this since, of course, there was a few rulings over the last weeks that have poured a bit of cold water over Labour's plans on this one. But we haven't heard exactly what they're going to do. We saw some headlines saying that they were going to not go for the full Islamophobia definition. And now we're seeing from Claire Cortino that they might be. What do you make of it?
Well, Claire Coutinho does no more clue as to what's going on as anybody else. I mean, she's making some headlines as the opposition spokesperson. That's right, but she hasn't got any greater insight. I mean, I can tell you there is the Working Party looking at this, but the politics of this are that we do not want any new laws that, A, introduce the idea of blasphemy into British law. We should all be free to criticise religion in the round, you know, whether we follow one or not. So that's important. And secondly, there has to be some degree of freedom of speech, not unlimited. We've never had unlimited free speech in this country, but, you know, some degree of saying, I don't agree with this or that. At the same time, protecting Muslim people from specifically being attacked because they are visibly Muslim. And, you know, maybe that we need a definition or perhaps some laws around that in the same way we do with other religious and ethnic groups, like the definition on Judaism, for example, where the anti-Semitism definition is written down so everyone knows what we're talking about. But you mustn't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. You can't introduce blasphemy. If I want to say I don't believe in elephant gods or angels or winged horses or Father Christmas or anything else, I must be free in law to be able to say that.
You know, you might believe that, but does Labour believe that?
Yeah, I think the reason we haven't had this out yet is because it's gone into the long grass. It may well stay there, I suspect, but it's certainly been kicked into the long grass because it's such a political hot potato. And you know, whatever comes out, I think will probably be reasonable and bland, and we can all say, yep, fair enough.
Adam, are you worried? Claire Coutinho saying that there's left-wing activists and groups going in to talk to Labour politicians about this definition, but we're not hearing anything about it. Are you worried there's a bit of a plot going on here?
Yeah, it should be open and transparent. At the end of the day, I'm an atheist, but I believe everyone should have the right to their beliefs and be allowed to practice their beliefs. As long as it doesn't affect my laws or my way of life or my kids' way of life or what I can eat or where I can go, I'm happy for everyone to believe in whatever they want. I criticise the Church of England a lot. Now, I have done over the sex crimes, you know, of young boys and young children over the years. Never have I been called Christianophobic. Never have I had anyone attack me for doing that. It just seems in this country that not all religions are treated the same by our authorities. For years on end now, we've had people preaching hate to Jewish people and the Jewish religion and Israel on the streets of London, and they've been allowed to get away with that without consequences. Yet, if someone says something now, what I fear here, that the Labour government or maybe someone within the Muslim community doesn't like, if enough of them complain, you could get in trouble. And that's what worries people, everyday people.
Well, I was asking that question to Paul, whether Labour actually believe this, because, you know, what I was going to say, Linda, is that the APPG definition, which is what Labour's adopted, is Islamophobia. They say this: Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expression of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. It's a bit of a problematic statement, don't you think?
Yes, but I mean, it's not often I agree with everything that Paul says, but I do agree with everything.
First time for everything.
I also agree with Adam tonight. What baffles me, though, is we are spending so much time on this, and there are two worries here. As Adam says, it looks like it lacks transparency, and as Paul says, we're edging dangerously close to some kind of blasphemy law, which would be a total disaster. But what I can't understand is why we are discussing this, not us, why the government is spending so much time on this. I know it's an important subject, but we are drowning beneath our problems at the moment. You know, the economy is shot to pieces. We've got a budget everyone's scared about next Wednesday. We've got an ageing population. We've got a declining birth rate. We've got no economic momentum. We've got so many problems that I think we're just wasting time on something that we should be dispensing with relatively quickly.
Well, I would say to that, I don't think the government is spending an awfully lot of time on this. I think there's a small working group just getting on with it, and, you know, it will come out and it'll be a headline for a day and be gone. On the anti-Semitism on the streets, to Adam's point, I mean, don't forget, this is a government which prescribed Palestine action, and we saw mass arrests on the demonstrations of those people claiming to be supporters of Palestine action. So I think the government has been tough on that.
Paul, they're not being arrested because they're being anti-Semitic. They're being arrested because they're supporting a defined terrorist organisation.
And let's remember that...
Which is anti-Semitic. I mean, Palestine Action is an anti-Semitic...
And a violent group. Let's remember the violence that they partook in that incident.
That, right? So
No, Paul, come on, I can't let you get away with it. They are not being tough on those activists because they are being anti-Semitic. They're being tough on them because they are all grouping up and protecting a terrorist prescribed organisation. You can't conflate the two. But I want to come back to you because Labour's definition is Islamophobia is rooted in racism and types of racism.
When you say Labour's definition, what do you mean?
This is your party's definition of Islamophobia.
So not the government then? The
government are Labour at the moment, but yes, it's not the government's definition, but it's the Labour Party's definition to say Islamophobia is rooted in racism, right? How can we separate racism from religion? I'm very worried they're going to bring the two together. What do you say to that? Will you condemn it if they do?
Well, I don't think the government's going to adopt that particular definition, which, as you say, came out of an all-party parliamentary group, so it's not an official government thing. I say let's wait and see what they come up with. I suspect it'll be something quite bland, to be honest.
All right, well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Anyway, coming up at 10 p.m, a massive migrant expose. Middle Eastern frauds are using a loophole with a 92% success rate to flood Britain. And Starmer's Labour government knew about it over a year ago and have refused to act. Are they complicit? But next.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Yeah, well, Trump's been torching Zelensky again. He said he's got zero gratitude for his 28-point peace plan, and it's splitting the West wide open, isn't it? Is the war going to end or explode? That's next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christie is here to GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. An unhappy Donald Trump has taken to Truth Social today to lament what he calls the poor leadership from his predecessor leading to the Ukraine war. The 47th president has said the war between... I don't know if I can read all of this out. The war between Russia and Ukraine is a violent and terrible one that with strong and proper US and Ukrainian leadership would never have happened. If 2020 presidential election was not rigged and stolen, there would be no Ukraine-Russia war. There would never have been... Putin would never have been attacked. Would he say Putin would never have been attacked? There we go. This comes as G20 leaders meet, of course, to discuss whether to accept the terms of President Trump's so-called peace deal, which many believe gives too many concessions to Russia and treats Ukraine as an aggressor. Is it time Ukraine accepted the terms of Trump's deal to end the war, or should President Trump be more robust in standing up to Russia? I'm now joined by former chairman of the Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood. Tobias, pleasure to have you on the show this evening. What do you make of this peace deal? 28 points. It's been met with a mixed reception, to say the best. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, well, good evening. I think mixed reception is an understatement. The world has never been more unstable and more dangerous since World War II, and that's thanks in part to Russian aggression in Europe. So it is frankly bewildering that America's solution is to threaten Ukraine, our ally, with an ultimatum, this 28-point pro-Russian plan that Kyiv had no say in crafting, or America walks. And when you strip away those 28 bullet points, three simple demands emerge, as far as I see it. Firstly, Ukraine's security would be deliberately downgraded, its armed forces cut by almost a half, long-range missiles banned, foreign troops barred, NATO membership ruled out. Secondly, not only that Russia keeps all the territory that it currently has, it gains more. Ukraine has to hand over territory that it currently has in its own possession. And finally, Russia is expected, not obliged, but expected not to invade neighboring countries, and NATO will not expand further. So, and in return, Russia is welcomed back to the G8 as if the invasion has never happened. I'm afraid this is capitulation. It's no surprise that voices, not just in Europe, but in the United States as well, have expressed outrage that America seems so naively willing to side with Moscow. I would say that some argue that this is Trump's way to announce an outrageous proposal, but then willing to back down, which he seems to be doing now, offering concessions so the other side feels that they have won. But this strategy used here treats Ukraine as the adversary and Russia as the ally. So no wonder European leaders have gathered in Geneva to push back at this, frankly, amateur proposal that does not represent the level of statecraft that we usually expect from the United States and recognizes the bigger picture of where Russia wants to take Europe.
Tobias, do you think would be an acceptable peace plan? I mean, I'm not expecting you to list out all the points, by the way, but just a broad strokes, what do you think should be the plan that we propose to get at least approval or attempt at some sort of approval from both sides?
Well, that is the key question that you pose. And the only way to answer that is to firstly check what Putin's political and strategic objectives are. And they haven't changed. They want to subjugate Ukraine. They want to keep Ukraine or ensure that it remains military neutral and ensure that Ukraine can't provide a democratic model of governance. This is what it's all about. That would be visible to the repressed Russian people. That's why Putin invaded. And that objective has not changed, which means that we have a choice. We either actually cede ourselves to this plan, we allow the bully to win, which will simply give space for Russia to rearm, regroup, and then do it all over again, or we start to press forward, give Ukraine the necessary lethality that it's been calling for 3 years to actually push Russia out. The bigger picture, and this is the big dividing point between America and Europe, is that we know here in Europe that Russia will not stop. Putin will want to emulate his hero Stalin to expand his influence across the Eastern Europe. And Trump doesn't see it in that vein. What is also concerning is that usually when it comes to these big ticket items of getting a deal across the line, America's first ally to speak to behind the scenes, the back channels, would be Britain, to say, what should we do here? How can we actually work together? And sadly, that relationship is not there anymore.
Well, Tobias Ellwood, thank you so much for joining me this evening to give me your view on this very developing story. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Coming up, an international superstar has gone nuclear at the United Nations, calling out the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. Now, this is a really interesting story because so many people have unfollowed this superstar, and you might know who they are. She's a household name. And they've unfollowed her because she's spoken out against the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. It is absolutely nuts. That's coming up very, very soon. But more importantly, I'm going to deliver next a massive expose on what I think is the government being complicit in the illegal migration crisis. They have been sitting on a loophole that they have been aware of, an investigation that has been done over a year ago in this country, and we still have done nothing to stop it. Do you think, I would love to know your views, gbnews.com/your say. Tell me what you think in the break, and then come and join me for this really big expose, because I think it's going to leave you as fuming as it left me. Anyway, let's quickly go to a little break, because next, of course, is going to be that massive expose. I want to know what you think. Please come and join me. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News. First up, we'll get your weather, and then we will see you very soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a mixed picture out there. We have an area of low pressure moving south and eastward, so rain or showers for some of us, and it's still feeling chilly. So the area of low pressure is across the northwest, and it's going to gradually sink its way south and eastwards as we go through this evening and overnight. So any outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland will sink their way into Wales, northern England, eventually towards southwest Wales and southern England, accompanied by a strong, brisk northwesterly wind, so coastal gales possible in the south. Further north, holding on to a lot of cloud, but the wind direction now coming in for a northerly. But for most of us, it's a frost-free start to Monday morning, given a lot of cloud cover and showery outbreaks of rain. So there are going to be some showers focused again across eastern Scotland, where they could be falling as snow over the mountains. Drier towards the west with some sunny spells. Best of the sunshine really across Northern Ireland. Dry here to start Monday morning. But across England and Wales, well, it's a cloudy but chilly start to the morning, with the strongest winds still across the southwest and into the English Channel. So as we go through Monday morning and into the afternoon, most of the showers across the southeast will clear their way through. Best of the sunshine across Northern Ireland, into Scotland, and eventually into parts of Wales and the southwest as the cloud breaks. Then the focus for the showers really confined to eastern areas, still falling as snow across eastern Scotland. It's going to be feeling chilly out there. We hold on to more of a northerly wind, but feeling more pleasant across Northern Ireland. That leads to a cold start to Tuesday morning, especially in the west, but we actually have a ridge of higher pressure. So for most on Tuesday, it's largely fine and settled. A few showers still running down the eastern coast. Now, as we go Wednesday into Thursday, it's actually turning milder and more unsettled after a cold start. That's all from me. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Well, good evening. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
The serious answer is to smash the gangs.
Well, I've got a massive migrant expose for you. Middle Eastern frauds are using a loophole with a 92% success rate to flood Britain. And Starmer's Labour government knows about it, knew about it, and have refused to act. Are they complicit? Also,
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
it's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Because Trump has torched Zelensky again. He said he has zero gratitude for his 28-point peace plan, which is now splitting the West wide open. Is the war about to end, or is it going to explode? And breaking news tonight, former Prime Minister Lord David Cameron reveals he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer as he urges the government to introduce screening. That and all of tomorrow's front pages at 10:30 p.m. with my panel tonight, who are journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Also, an international superstar just went nuclear at the United Nations, calling out the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. Shockingly, though, how many millions of people do you think unfollowed her on social media?
Stand here as a proud New Yorker with a deep sense of gratitude that we live in a country where we can freely and safely worship God regardless of one's creed, background, or politics.
Is our government complicit in the illegal migrant crisis? Do they want illegal migrants to flood our country? I'm asking this because yet another massive expose on illegal migrant smuggling gangs has revealed a loophole in our system that the government appear to have known about for over a year now and have done absolutely nothing to stop it. Now, this loophole almost guarantees an almost 100% success rate on the asylum claim in the UK. And I'm going to expose what it is right now. Illegal migrant smuggling gangs are handing out 25-page Arabic playbooks through the messaging app telegram coaching migrants, mostly Iraqis, to pose as a thing called bidoon. Bidoon is the term given to stateless nomads denied citizenship after Kuwait's independence. Well, the Home Office's 2024 Country Policy and Information note for Kuwait bidoons, recognising them as stateless Arab minorities and a particular social group under the Refugee Convention, while distinguishing between documented and undocumented bidoons. Well, applicants must demonstrate that they genuinely lack Kuwaiti nationality, hold no official documentation, and face systematic denial of basic human rights, discrimination and threats of serious harm. Well, an investigation by our very own Camilla Tominay for The Telegraph has exposed that the majority of those claiming asylum here under this scheme may not, in fact, be these so-called bidoons, but be actually Iraqis. And the evidence is quite clear to me. Claims from so-called Kuwaiti bidoons have somehow doubled since 2021 to a record 1,418 last year, who have all got on average, a 92% success rate, suggesting to me many, and I'd be bold enough to say this, could be stateless fakers, and our government is lapping it all up. Because between the years ending June 2021 and 2025, 5,272 people from Kuwait applied for asylum in the UK. That's almost double the 2,874 people who applied in the previous 20 years. Let that sink in for a second. Well, acceptance rates have risen from 41 to 81% in that time. Let's just remember for a second that there is no war taking place in Kuwait right now. And the really damning part of all of this that's going on, and it's going to have you grinding your teeth, is that the Home Office appears to have known about this for over a year now. They were warned by Jordanian officials that some Iraqis were faking bidoon stories, flashing forged birth certificates from imams in Kuwaiti mosques that don't even exist, even using Iraqi passports to slip into Jordan before swapping identities for UK family reunions. The Home Office launched an investigation and uncovered 11 sponsors who'd applied for US visas as, guess what, surprise, surprise, Iraqis. Well, the Home Office concluded this at the time. The investigation, which had involved the Jordanian and Kuwaiti authorities and the US Embassy in Amman, had cast serious doubt on whether the applicants were in fact Kuwaiti bidoons, and these doubts, which had extended to some sponsors who had been granted asylum in the UK on that basis, were eventually confirmed. All right, so we know there's a lot of fakers, basically. And what do you think the government did to close that loophole? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That same playbook still circulating, and those numbers are surging. Labour has been in charge for 18 months now, promising a major reform while the backlog balloons to 227,000 souls, costing billions in hotel bills and support. Shabana Mahmood admits the system's not working, straining communities to breaking point, yet here we are, 109,000 claims last year, up 17%, with grant rates hovering around 50%, despite the fakery that they seem to know about. It's not rocket science, is it? It is just, in my opinion, gross negligence. And this isn't isolated, is it? Pakistanis jetting on holiday here, and then they get, some of them, student visas, nearly 10,000 last year, then flip to asylum claims for permanent residency, gaining the little switcheroo loophole while we all foot the bill for it. No crackdown on Pakistan launched by this Home Secretary in her latest announcement, was there? So all this tough talk by the Home Secretary really amounts to sweet F all, doesn't it? Because our asylum system has so many holes in it that no matter how much the Home Secretary bangs on about clamping down on some of these claims, loopholes are still being exploited at record rates, delivering huge, almost 100% success rates. So it seems to me that even when the Home Office has clear evidence about the system being gamed, our politicians are just turning a blind eye. The question is, are the government really just secretly happy for these illegal migrants to be gaming the system? Because if they aren't, Why won't they close the loopholes? Well, I'm now joined by journalist Mitchell Durden and my panel, the broadcaster Linda Jubilee, former Labour advisor Paul Richards and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening. Mitchell, pleasure to have you on the show. This story, it really enraged me when I saw it because we have the information to hand here. What on earth is going on?
Well, just to correct you, and I don't mean to enrage you more, but the Jordanian government actually told us 11 years ago, not 1 year ago.
So over a decade ago.
Absolutely. And that comes from the Chief Inspector's immigration report from 2016. What they've done is they looked into an anomaly coming from Jordan, and what they were finding is there were more Bidoon family reunion visa applications in Jordan than Kuwait. There was approximately just around 800, and in Kuwait there was 66. And keeping in mind, undocumented Bidoons don't have passports. So how exactly will they appear in en masse in Jordan and in a much larger number? The Jordanian government did look into this for us. They found that a large number of these people crossed the border using Iraqi identification. And through their own research, they interviewed the people who were supposedly family members of Bidoon refugees in the UK. And they found that a lot of the people they interviewed knew little to nothing, and that's an exact quote, about Kuwait itself.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me looking at this massive surge in numbers, which is over double what we've had over the last, 20 years. Do you think that the government here is being completely negligent? They know there's a loophole. They've had an investigation. They've been warned by the Jordanians time and time again. Why do you think they're not closing the loophole?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the government's more concerned with who they tax than closing the loophole. They've known about this for many, many years. It's out there. I'm sure if I know about this and I found the documents, our Secret Service and people in the intelligence community must know. They've got every opportunity to stop this. And the actual interesting part about this is, putting aside the ones that are accepted, the ones that are refused can't be deported because we don't know or we can't prove where they're actually from. Kuwait won't take these people back. They don't accept them. They say the undocumented Bidoons are actually illegal immigrants in their country.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? We've just been landed with an absolute terrible situation where we're just going to go round and round in circles. Paul, the Home Secretary has come out with a raft of reforms. I'm guessing on the things that she would know as Home Secretary, this would be something she knows. She's trying to supposedly crack down on illegal migration. She could close this loophole tomorrow. Why doesn't she?
Well, I mean, it's the Kuwaiti royal family that declared that these people since the 80s are stateless. The word Bidoon is Arabic for stateless, isn't it? So they're sort of denied the citizenship of Kuwait or Iraq or anywhere else. The Bidoons are the people from Kuwait are the 8th most populous people coming over in the small boats. But what I would say is that it's a sign of successful journalism. I think this has become public, that is now something we are talking about, and I suspect ministers will now want to act on this loophole because, to answer your rhetorical question, of course ministers care about this. Of course they want to close down the loopholes. They're not encouraging people to come in because it is politically...
journalists to do the government's work?
They've
literally done the homework,
isn't it?
But why is it that this has not been addressed sooner? Because
well, I think
we're going back 11 years ago. I'm still blaming the last government as well as part of this. I'm not just blaming you guys, but you've also been in for 18 months. You made a big pledge on smashing the gangs. This is a massive gang to be smashed.
Well, I agree, and the unearthing of this particular document, this playbook of how to claim you're a Bidoon even if you're not, in order to get into the country, that's what I mean by successful journalism. But now that is known about, because that bit wasn't known about before. We knew the Bidoons were coming here, of course, for the last 20, 30 years, but that coming to light is a good thing, and that means that we can now crack down on it. But
it's showing exponential growth now. But what's to stop it growing really,
well, you know,
rapidly?
when we get endlessly, you know, when I say smash the gangs, everyone rolls their eyes and says, you're not doing enough to smash the gangs. But this is a perfect example of a gang that needs smashing, isn't it? There is obviously a criminal conspiracy distributing this particular booklet, encouraging people, probably taking payment for it from these poor souls in order to come here. And that's an example where now we know this exists, we can decide to put the resource to find out who's behind it and arrest them and bang them up.
Adam?
Just for a sec. How are these Bidoons, even if they're genuine, our problem? As a British taxpayer, why should we fund these people at the end of the day? You know, there's clearly Iraqis lying that they are these Bidoons. right? So how many of these people that have come across are ex-militia or experts in guns or grenades? We don't know. And yet we've got hotels near us all filled with these guys. At the end of the day, I believe our authorities cannot be this stupid. I think it is on purpose for whatever reason that may be. Because at the end of the day, hold on, we've got people pretending to be gay. Home Office believe them. We have people pretending to be Christian and our church facilitating that. What happens? Bang, stamped. If they die or whatever, they have a Muslim funeral. We are the mugs. What else have we had? We have people pretending to be children. We've had adults, 20-odd-year-old men, put in our schools amongst 15-year-old girls. This country is not that stupid. The people running it cannot be that stupid. So you have to ask, what is there to gain for them to facilitate these dangerous men coming across the channel, right, and us not deporting them?
The Home Office say they're trying to crack down on the agency,
well, they're not,
by the way.
But they're not.
I will also say to the audience that the term badoon is sometimes used in a derogatory way. We are not trying to achieve that here. We are just simply reporting the story as we're aware of it, and also, of course, this is how it's often referred to. So we're just trying to get our facts right and be accurate here. Linda, I'll come to you because, again, I think even if we just... This is one isolated story amongst so many others, and Mitchell has done great work here with Camilla Tominey and exposing this sort of stuff. Why is it we're having to rely on great journalists like Mitchell to do the job of the government?
Because I think it's not just a lack of competence. I think there's a real lack of commitment to solving these problems. It's just possible in big organisations to kick things into the long grass and then somehow just quietly forget about them as though they're not important. This isn't the only area of British public life where this happens. It happens in the NHS, it happens in other institutions as well. I don't think there's a conspiracy here. I think it's much more likely to be incompetence. And well done for...
Yeah, thank you.
Lifting the lid.
Mitchell, these kind of stories, I mean, you must look at it and go, am I going mad here? Or is this actually complete incompetence, despite the fact this is, as you've said to me quite clearly, it goes back 11 years ago. You know, you've obviously been looking into this sort of stuff. Is there a concern when you write these stories that the Home Office is completely incompetent?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just for one fact, out of interest for you, in this year to Q1 and Q2, more badoons have come to the UK than Ukrainians.
Wow.
More badoons have been accepted than Ukrainians, and at a much higher rate.
There you had it here.
Brilliant.
This is it, Paul, and this is what we go back to all the time. Why is it that Labour, who have had their main mantra was we're going to smash the gangs, why can they not see this? This is data they've got available. People like Mitchell like to squeeze out of them probably. Why is it that Labour won't crack down on this? I think there could be a conspiracy here because I know that many Labour MPs think that even Shabana Mahmood's reforms are racist. They're calling her far right. They're saying that she's peddling Nigel Farage. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it?
The reason the numbers are bigger than the Ukrainians is because the Ukrainians are fighting for their own homeland, and the surge of immigration was in that first few months after the invasion, and that's why the numbers have dropped off after that. Now, my question to both Adam and Alex is that you've both rhetorically posed this idea, why on earth is the government doing this? You've used the word conspiracy. What possible reason would there be for a Labour government want to have something...
Some Labour MPs, some Labour MPs and activists love the idea of open borders.
Something that is so electorally toxic, it is electoral kryptonite that is killing us in the opinion polls. So,
why not close the loophole? Why not deport illegal migrants?
Well, because it's hard, that's why.
It's not that hard.
Because you have to do it in lots of different ways.
Done it. If there
was a single simple thing any government of any stripe could do, they would. Right? If it was as simple,
I think they're just spineless.
If it was as simple as putting gunboats in the channel or rounding them up to camps, or if it was as simple as that, then a government would do it. But it's not. So you have to do lots of different things all at once. And closing this loophole, I hope now, will be at the top of some minister's desk tomorrow morning, on Monday morning.
Let's find out. I'll hold you to that, Paul. In a few weeks' time, if we haven't heard any more, I'll bring you back on.
What's the Home Office quote? Come on, there must be a Home Office response to this.
We'll find out in a second. Mitchell, final word to you. What do you make of this? Do you think the Home Office are going to do something about it, or do you think it's just going to be one of those that gets sat on for a long time again?
I would hope they would want to do something about it. I do think that ECHR might overrule us with this. I don't think the government have the power while we're in this institution.
We can ignore them.
Well, there is that option as well, I suppose.
But the Labour government isn't good at... One second. The only gangs we need to smash are these lefty NGOs that tell people like these badoons how to fleece our system. They're the gangs we need to smash, and then the numbers will drop.
There we go. Mitchell, fantastic work. Thank you for coming to join me to talk about this story tonight, and please keep doing what you are doing. Clearly a national service at this point. Right, well, it's time now for the Great British Giveaway. There's just 2 weeks left to grab your chance to enjoy Christmas on us this year. 40 grand in tax-free cash, shopping vouchers, and the GB News Festive goodie bag. Here's the details.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, coming up, I'll have all your front pages hot off the press at 10:30 with full reaction from tonight's panel. But next...
Stand here as a proud New Yorker with a deep sense of gratitude that we live in a country where we can freely and safely worship God regardless of one's creed, background, or politics.
Well, that was an international superstar who's just gone nuclear at the United Nations, calling out the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. How many millions of people do you think unfollowed her across social platforms? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
So many people within the armed services now can say that they owe their lives if they were, shall we say, working in the Middle East and in Afghanistan, in Iraq before that, actually owe their lives to the fact that it was dogs that they sent out to see whether or not there were explosives in a building, whether they were going through a minefield or whatever. So I think we were just talking previously, of course, Hannibal uses elephants. And there has not been a single year since the end of the Second World War when we have not had a conflict of some sort, and animals are still being used. We don't have horses used in the same way, obviously. We still had the cavalry, which is why 8 million horses were lost. Horses, donkeys and mules were lost in the First World War. But they weren't just the cavalry horses. They were the horses that were pulling the guns, that were delivering the armaments, that were carrying out the wounded. And what is interesting is, today in the 21st century, in Ukraine, who are leading the way in using drones in modern warfare, they are doing what they did in the First World War, and they're using horses, donkeys and mules to take the wounded out. The wonderful memorial that we have on Park Lane, it's there and it recognises that it was horses, dogs, donkeys, mules, and if you look, because they have individual statues of them, but if you actually look at the memorial itself, you will see pigeons. Dolphins. I mean, we know that dolphins are being used. As human beings, we share this planet with millions of other animals. And for centuries, we have used certain animals and abused them, used them and abused them, and got them into service with us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, everybody. The rapper, superstar and activist now, Nicki Minaj. Have you heard of her? Well, she's used her platform of 28 million followers and is teaming up with the Trump administration to bring awareness of the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Well, at the United Nations last Tuesday, the singer spoke of her pride in her country and the right to freedom of religion, saying protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people, it's about uniting humanity. President Trump has accused the Nigerian government of failing to protect its Christian population, even invoking the term genocide and threatening to take military action. Well, Nicki Minaj recently saw a huge loss of social media followers after posting on X saying this: "No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously." Should she be lauded for standing up for her beliefs in contrast to Hollywood's traditionally, well, I would say it's far left culture and agenda? Joining me now is American political commentator Toria Brick. Toria, thank you so much for joining me this evening. This is quite a big intervention from Nicki Minaj, one that I certainly wasn't expecting. How's it gone down in America?
Well, it absolutely is. Right now, she's America's #1 pop culture team player, right? And to quote the famous Nicki Minaj, she's coming off the court fully drenched, so the haters better get their thirst quenched. And who could have done it better with finesse? Not really anyone, because she really is the best. And they're playing checkers, couldn't beat her playing chess. And that's why Mike Waltz invited her to speak in front of the United Nations, because they truly wanted somebody who represents the people speaking on behalf of Christians everywhere worldwide, not just Nigeria. But the Trump administration is taking this seriously, and they're putting pressure on the nation, because if they don't take this as seriously as we are, then there might be military intervention. I mean, we just saw today there were over 300 people actually kidnapped from armed robbers, well, armed militia in Nigeria, and about 50 of them escaped after the Pope put out a message calling for them to be released. But we're still seeing that developing now.
Indeed. And Nicki Minaj has approximately, according to some statistics online, lost about 1.6 million followers just on X alone. Do you think for a cause like this, actually people would be lauding her bravery to stick her nose out in politics? Because we do know politics is divisive. However, this isn't really a political issue, or it shouldn't be. Why do you think that is?
I think that X right now, even though Elon Musk did take the platform over, and we've seen that President Trump and Elon Musk have reunited, especially during the meeting for Saudi Crown Prince here in the United States, it's just very prevalent to be run by liberals at this time. So I think people are still waking up to the fact that there are many people in pop culture who are leaning conservative, right? So Nicki Minaj has expressed in the past that she had these views, and actually she has a tattoo on her arm that's in Chinese that is leaning towards Christianity and God. So this actually was almost prophetic, her having a place in this role at the United Nations. And I think no one expected Mike Waltz to facilitate this, but actually Trump advisor Alex Bruesewitz was the one that arranged the meeting. So he's in his 20s, and I think that the Trump administration is leveraging not only Gen Z, but the millennials to really connect the culture and the political realms.
Toria, do you think this is the most pro-Christian American administration for, well, I would possibly say at least decades, but maybe more than 100 years now? Because it does seem to me that they're talking about, the white African farmers that are being persecuted. They're talking about the so-called genocide in Nigeria of Christians. Is this a very heavily Christian conservative administration?
I do believe it is, and regardless of what your viewpoints are, the rise in certain political voices in the United States that have been advocating to put our interests above other countries, I think that we're seeing a wave of pro-nationalism, and nationalism shouldn't be taken in the wrong way. I think every nation around the world should be nationalist in their own right, because you should be taking care of your own people. So I think that we are pro-Christian, and I personally love to see Nikki's involvement in this matter.
And did you think world leaders will listen when someone like Nicki Minaj talks? Of course, she is just a superstar. I mean, I wouldn't say she's possibly got the best credentials of Christianity. You'd hope the Pope would say something a bit more bold, perhaps. But do you think world leaders will listen? She's given this address at the United Nations. It's quite a platform. What do you hope may come of it?
I believe that she still will have an impact. I mean, after all, we've seen the left utilize different people in pop culture as well. So I don't think just because she's a rap artist means that her words don't matter. In fact, she may actually reach more people who weren't in the conversation before. So I'm interested to see how the administration this week is going to handle the news we just found out about the people who were kidnapped in Nigeria and what that means for Christians worldwide.
We've also seen celebrities like Sydney Sweeney be quite heavily criticised just for an advertisement campaign in America by the Liberals over there, the Democrat wing, should I say. Is it quite dangerous now for a celebrity to be conservative, or is it becoming more acceptable than ever?
I think being a conservative is almost the new punk rock. You know, South Park was founded upon certain principles, and I think being a Republican or being a conservative in the United States now is the new South Park. And it's no surprise that South Park actually featured now the late Charlie Kirk about a month before he passed.
Indeed, it certainly does. There we go. American political commentator Toria Brick, thank you very much for joining me to give us the insights on that story. Coming up, though, all your front pages at 10:30 p.m. with full reaction from tonight's panel, including...
He and I both believe that introducing a targeted national screening programme for prostate cancer is the right thing to do and would save lives.
Yes, breaking news tonight. Former Prime Minister Lord David Cameron reveals he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer as he urges the government to introduce screening. We'll be talking about that next. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The unsettled weather continues across the central Mediterranean. Heavy rain and thunderstorms expected here. Some areas could even see a month's worth of rainfall in just a few days. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira, but many areas of northern Europe are going to see a very unsettled day on Monday. The poorest of conditions likely across Italy and around the Adriatic coastline. Some heavy showers and thunderstorms here. Still a mix of sunshine and showers into next week, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a mixed picture out there. We have an area of low pressure moving south and eastward, so rain or showers for some of us, and it's still feeling chilly. So the area of low pressure is across the northwest, and it's going to gradually sink its way south and eastwards as we go through this evening and overnight. So any outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland will sink their way into Wales, northern England, eventually towards southwest Wales and southern England, accompanied by a strong, brisk northwesterly wind, so coastal gales possible in the south. Further north, holding on to a lot of cloud, but the wind direction now coming in for a northerly. But for most of us, it's a frost-free start to Monday morning, given a lot of cloud cover and showery outbreaks of rain. So there are going to be some showers focused again across eastern Scotland, where they could be falling as snow over the mountains. Drier towards the west with some sunny spells. Best of the sunshine really across Northern Ireland. Dry here to start Monday morning. But across England and Wales, well, it's a cloudy but chilly start to the morning, with the strongest winds still across the southwest and into the English Channel. So as we go through Monday morning and into the afternoon, most of the showers across the southeast will clear their way through. best of the sunshine across Northern Ireland, into Scotland and eventually into parts of Wales and the southwest as the cloud breaks. Then the focus for the showers really confined to eastern areas, still falling as snow across eastern Scotland. It's going to be feeling chilly out there. We hold on to more of a northerly wind, but feeling more pleasant across Northern Ireland. That leads to a cold start to Tuesday morning, especially in the west, but we actually have a ridge of higher pressure. So for most on Tuesday, it's largely fine and settled. A few showers still running down the eastern coast. Now, as we go Wednesday into Thursday, it's actually turning milder and more unsettled after a cold start. That's all from me. Bye-bye.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there.
With expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Time to bring you tomorrow's front pages. Let's go through them together. The FT, Trump rails at Kiev and Europe amid doubts over US stance on peace plan. The Metro, Labour's budgeting it, warning. The Guardian, BBC to overhaul standards panel as fallout from bias row continues. We'll definitely dig into that one. And the I paper, Reeves to unveil 600 million raid on foreign student university fees. The Express, pensioners to lose £800 a year in Reeves' budget. Yeah, lots of kite flying still from the Treasury, it seems. Maybe they still haven't got the budget settled yet. She might just be on the back of a fag packet on Wednesday at this rate. Anyway, look, let's start off, of course, with my panel here to recap that breaking news over the last hour or so. The former Prime Minister David Cameron has revealed he was diagnosed with prostate cancer last year after hearing a radio interview that urged men to get tested. Lord Cameron says his wife Samantha pushed him to ask his GP for a PSA test, which he now credits with catching the disease early. This is quite a big story, of course, because we don't talk enough about men's health, do we, Linda? And
I think men talk about that.
Well, yes, exactly. Women push a little bit harder, don't they? But what is it that stops men from perhaps doing this? What do you think it is?
I think particularly where this kind of thing is concerned, it's probably the embarrassment level of this condition. Yeah. But well done for David Cameron, and very well done for his wife for pushing him to go to the doctor. You see, he needed a push.
Yeah.
But it's proved to be, as he says, the early detection may well have saved his life. It certainly saved him from having far more serious and invasive treatment, and that's one of the problems with prostate cancer. But I think what we're looking at now is we need to do some kind of cost-benefit analysis, because a nationwide screening programme would be very, very expensive, and you've got to know that you'll get the results to make the investment worthwhile.
Indeed. Paul, obviously, Lord Cameron was only Foreign Secretary not that long ago. Not really an old man, in my opinion, at least. He was fit and healthy, walking around, doing the job as Foreign Secretary. So I think this really does... We talk a lot about cancer these days, don't we? But I think there's got to be more done. Surely the government have got to, at this point, look at the statistics. It's one of the biggest killers of men and act on this data.
I mean, it's only 30 years ago that cancer was a taboo topic. You know, Richard Dimbleby, the great broadcaster, was the first sort of public figure to talk about the fact he had cancer. People used to talk it in very hushed tones, you know, the big C, euphemisms and all that. So, yes, we need to talk about it. I think there are two barriers to men doing this. One is the embarrassment factor, as you say. It is that sense that, oh, well, we'll be all right. You know, we just tough it out. But the other is access to the actual test. And I know as someone who's tried to get this test, and I haven't succeeded in getting the test yet, even though I'm absolutely the age group that should be, it's just quite hard to get an appointment with your GP and to actually go through and do it, you know.
For anything.
So I would advocate for a national screening screening policy. I think it would obviously be costly, but it would save lives. And as we're all getting older, as there's ageing population and all that, it is going to be something even more important to do.
Yeah.
We launched the National Men's Health Strategy this week, by the way. So we are we being the Labour government, we are starting to sort of talk about men's health specifically. But this in particular is the best example of why we need to get some progress.
Indeed, Adam.
Well, I thought Labour was improving the NHS. We're 18 months in. Why can't you get a test?
I don't think it's a party political point.
But we have to answer that. You know, we have people that come over on dinghies and they get free checks straight away. Yet someone like yourself has got to wait for a really important test. I'm getting to the age now where I'm starting to think of prostate checks, etc. I think it's 1 in 8 men get prostate cancer in their life. 1 in 4 black men, I believe. There's a difference there, and people need to know that. So this is an important thing to put out there. I'm not a lover of David Cameron at all, right? But I thank him for putting this out there because, you know, this story might get someone to go and get checked and it might save some lives.
Well, he actually came forward because of something he and Samantha heard on the radio. So it tells you that publicity does work. People like Chris Hoy as well, who's been hugely brave.
Yes.
You know, I think that has made a massive difference to men.
And Rishi Sunak's been talking about this in the House of Commons as well. So we do see there's a bit more of a movement happening now. But why do you think it's taken so long for us to get a grip on these things in Britain? Because health is the best wealth you can have in this country, isn't it? Do you think we just don't talk about health?
Well, I'll tell you what it is we fetishise the National Health Service. All of us as politicians, we talk about the NHS, but what we don't talk about is preventative health. Diet, exercise, doing the things that stop you needing the health service in the first place. It was conceived to be a way of making the population healthier, so it would cost less, and all it's done is cost more. Because we wait till we're ill and then we go to the NHS.
Well, Paul, I mean, if you don't mind me saying, you've had a fantastic transformation. You've lived a much healthier life, but now we've had people, you know, getting the fat jab, for example, right? This has been sold as some sort of a solution.
I'm very sceptical of this. As you know, I lost my 10 stone through exercise and diet, not a jab and not a tuck, right? And my fear is with the jabs, it sort of excuses bad behaviour. People think it's an easy route, and it's untested.
People always want the easy route, but the problem with the jab is it can degrade your muscles. That's one side effect.
And your eyesight and all kinds of things.
There's all sorts of side effects.
Chemically dependent on pharmaceuticals.
I hate this jab culture, a jab for everything.
Yeah, that's what.
At the end of the day, if you want to be fit, do some sort of exercise, get out in the fresh air, even if it's walking. Eat better food. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm eating better food. I'm doing more exercise. This lazy culture, and I've got to say, I don't like the way the government pushes this fat jab because people have died because of it, and there are complications. And there are people in my area that just before they go Marbella or Spain or whatever in the summer, they're having the fat jabs. We are creating a lazy and vain society.
That's exactly right.
The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has said that we should make it available to more people because if it does save lives, it is important that it could be used in some fashion.
I think there's two things. I completely agree with Adam. If it creates a culture of, we can eat whatever you like and then just jab it all away, is dangerous as hell. In extreme cases where people are morbidly obese and it's the only thing that would work to keep their lives and, maybe even then save some money down the line, then fine. But that should be a medical intervention, not a lifestyle choice.
Do you know what worries me about it? It's more about the fetishisation of it. We see some of these celebrities who are looking so thin now, and I wonder whether we did go through a phase of accepting people of different body sizes, and I think we went a little bit too far of that. Now it feels like we're going too far the other way. Perhaps we're being skinny.
Well, we've got a very narrow view about what is attractive, that for women and for men. If you look back decades ago to the old Hollywood film stars, they were all different. Different shapes, different sizes, different ideas of beauty.
Famously would be considered fat.
Size 16. You know, she'd be considered overweight.
The problem with the jabs is, though, it's not a permanent solution.
Well, this is it.
The minute it runs out, people then put the weight straight back on, and then they feel miserable, so they overeat. And
it's expensive.
It's not fixing the reason why somebody's overweight in the first place.
Indeed. Well, listen, to the former Prime Minister, we wish you all the best, and glad you've recovered. And very important message that he's sending. Whether you politically agree with David Cameron, I disagree with David Cameron on many political reasons. However, on moments like this is the right thing to do.
Let's get checked. just tell all the viewers, the older men, get checked.
Absolutely. You tell them, madam. You tell them.
Get checked.
Yeah, there you go. We can all do our bit. Don't be afraid. Go and do it. Listen, there's lots more stories here. I briefly want to touch on the peace plan, and we will talk more about this throughout the show. But Trump has, of course. This is like a never-ending sort of back and forth, isn't it? In 1 minute, we're hoping there was a peace with Russia, then that deal collapsed. Then there was, of course, the famous interaction between Trump and Zelensky in the White House. And, of course, now we've seen over the last 24 hours a massive amount of exchanges between Trump, the West. We've had Marco Rubio. On the front page of the FT today, the Financial Times, Trump rails at Kiev and Europe amid doubts over stance on the US peace plan. He's, of course, said it's not his final offer, Linda, but he has said that Zelensky's been ungrateful. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, the problem with President Trump is there's a kind of final offer, then another final offer, then another final offer, and then we're back again, backwards and forwards, you know, closer and closer to the deadline, and then he repositions again. And it's messy. It's really messy. So, I mean, I hope we hear some good news this week, but I think the plan so far is a terrible plan for Ukraine, and we need to reframe some of those points.
I mean, for months there's been some doubt, I think, about where Trump's loyalties lie, but at least now we do know that his loyalties lie with Putin.
Nonsense.
Oh, no, I think that's a little bit
there was a suggestion this plan is written in Russian, and he's got snow on his boots, hasn't he? He's basically
that's hyperbole.
Caving in to Russian demands. The way you get a peace plan is for the Russians to get out of Ukraine, full stop.
Right, so let me just say, there's two options to end this war. There is World War III, which none of us want, and the whole world doesn't want, and will cost tens of millions of lives. And then there's Ukraine that cannot beat Russia on their own. We cannot keep giving them our billions without a full-scale war there. So there has to be concessions. They're going to have to give up land. And there was
Why do they have to?
Let me just say, there was a poll last year of Ukrainians, and they agreed that they had to concede land to end this war because they were sick of the millions of people dying. I think it's 1 million now over the last 3 or 4 years. At the end of the day, we cannot afford it anymore, right? We want to stick up for Ukraine, but there's got to be a line in the sand. It's either lives or World War III, and I want to save lives.
The issue is over the size of the land, that the amount of land that's being argued about.
So how do we get Russia out?
No, you've got to be prepared, Paul. You've got to be prepared to give some land.
Paul, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because, in my opinion, and I think everyone's got a point, that the plan's not perfect, but I think there's got to be concessions. We have to admit that. In my opinion, this is a big loss for Russia. This is a superpower that hasn't managed to take over a much smaller country. This would be seen in any traditional terms as a big loss for Putin. Well, surely at this point we say, actually, he didn't get to Kiev, he didn't conquer the country. Let's concede where we are today. It's probably going to be disputed territory forever and ever and ever, and let's draw the line here and stop the young men from dying.
The lesson of history is that if you give an invader any ground, they'll come back for more. If you appease dictators, they come back for more. They don't say thank you and stop. They'll keep going. And if either we fight them in Ukraine, Adam, or we're going to fight them in...
You want to fight them?
We will fight them in the Baltics.
Hang on, if you get American and Russian investment in that area, surely there is no incentive anymore for there to be a war, because then you do start World War III.
Any inch conceded is a victory.
No, well, let me just tell you, I've got a 16-year-old boy, and I want this conflict to end, because my son is never going to a foreign land and giving his life, especially for this government, and not for Ukraine. And at the end of the day, there has to be an end to it.
Well, I think the truth is that Ukraine can't win.
They can't.
Without America's support.
Why not?
End of. They can't.
Listen, we will be talking about this throughout the show, so if you're enjoying this, stay tuned. More of tomorrow's front pages are coming your way, including...
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
He's looking like the Don there, isn't he? Are we going to be on the verge of a peace deal, or is it going to capitulate even further? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Very good morning to you, Christine. Good morning to the pair of you and all the watchers and listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look back...
Oh, you still got your hat.
well done.
Oh, good on you.
I think it's shrunk a bit, but still.
I can't believe it's 23 years ago. Can you?
Well, if you can't, no, nor can I. And people come up to me and say whatever they say, and I usually say, do you realise how long ago that was? Oh, 10 years. What? I said, no, it was 2002. It turned people's view of me completely on its head. And I'd gone into the jungle as one of the most hated women in the country, or disliked, whatever you want to say. And people suddenly saw the real me, and, you know, basically I'm quite nice, I'm fun, I'm kind to animals, you know, and when people get to know the real me, they think, oh, well, she's not this awful old witch that the newspapers had told us she was.
Oh, you're always a battle axe, Christine. You'll always be a battle axe. Come on.
You just have to be yourself. And if yourself, your real self, can't cope with the privations and the boredom, because they deliberately make sure that you're bored most of the time. Don't forget, viewers see a fraction of it. And they also make sure that there's a mix of personalities, so that usually there's there's that sort of stuff going on. But, I have to say, a tad envious. First of all, they're in the Australian sunshine. Which would be nice. And I mean, what's not to like about it? You get flown out first class. We went Qantas. I've no idea what. I hope they fly the flag. I had a wonderful time. They flew my other half out, because I said, if I'm going to be away for 3 weeks or so, you will have to fly Neil out as well, because otherwise I shall have to put him into care. And so they swallowed that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. It's budget week coming up, isn't it? By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll all be shaking in your boots because you know that there's a budget coming. And I just want to throw up some of the front pages again to remind you of how much chaos there really is around this budget. Let's start with the Metro, shall we? They have got this as their headline: Labour budgeting warning. The FT are saying investors warn Reeves of market risks in postponing the fiscal pain in budget. And the I are leading on this. Reeves to unveil 600 million raid on foreign student university fees. Now, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm just so confused. I'm so confused. Paul, every week we have been here. You've been on this show. You know as much as I do. You have seen a different kite being flown by the Treasury every week. We'll all end, the pain will end on Wednesday. But how bad is it?
I mean, they're flying kites and then pulling them down again, aren't they? I don't mind a bit of kite flying. Do you know, in 1947, Alex, right, a Labour Chancellor strode in to give the big budget speech, and he leaked a little detail on the way in to the speech to a journalist waiting in the lobby, and that journalist got it into the paper while he was still speaking, and Hugh Dalton, the Labour Chancellor, had to resign for a budget leak. Now, I wish we had that same situation. Keep it as purdah. Nobody leaks anything.
Right. Are you saying Rachel Reeves should resign?
No, I'm saying we need to stay.
You want to harken back to the next day's poll?
I want to just stay stum until we see what's in the budget.
Right.
Then we can debate it. It's a nonsense.
Far too much. I think there's far too much talk about this, which is pointless because it means nothing beforehand. But also, there is this dreadful culture that has arisen by successive governments, in particular this government, developing policy based on opinion and communications and almost like a focus group, like leaking things out, give it a spin and run it up the flagpole, see who salutes. You cannot develop policy that way.
And it is having a real-world effect.
Well, I was just going to ask Adam this because the
Yeah.
Metro and the FT are both saying basically investors and businesses are just stalling now because then nobody knows what's going to happen. We're all terrified.
People are scared to do anything, and I speak to customers over the last 2 weeks. They're dreading this budget, from builders to really successful people. Now, my friend's an estate agent. I asked him how the market was. He went, no one's doing anything until this budget is out of the way. The mansion tax rumours, that is a disaster. I live in an area, a good area, where people are petrified that suddenly they're going to have to pay another £500-600 a month just because they own a nice house. They've done well, and they're going to be taxed again.
Yeah.
I mean, I do hope they don't do that, but I fear a lot of the leaks have caused a negative dip in the market everywhere across different sectors.
Exactly right.
Do you guys think that we should just get it over and done with and raise income tax? Do you think the Chancellor should do that, Linda?
That's what I think.
Yeah?
Yes, I think
the
that...
cleanest.
Yeah, and that's the thing that would have gone down relatively well in the financial sector and with economists, and it is just pull that big lever, get it done. There are some exceptional circumstances. You might be able to talk your way around it, but fiddling around with these little taxes, the smorgasbord it's called, is just not achieving enough, and it's unsettling the market.
And they're untested.
And they are important. And they're untested.
They're untested. Some of these policies could end up costing the taxpayer money, and they might not raise anything. So, again, I hate to say, look, if they've got to raise taxes, raise taxes. It's against their manifesto. It's on their head. A lot of this doom and gloom is because of their last budget. It's killed a lot of businesses off, and it's put hundreds of thousands out of a job. She's got to own what she does. If it means a tax rise to income tax, do it. Stop bottling it. Start being a leader.
Exactly. And that's the problem, right? Is it we just want people with some convictions because we at least know where we stand with them. But there we go, hey. I just want to recap that breaking news for you in the last hour, of course. Former Prime Minister David Cameron has revealed he was diagnosed with prostate cancer last year after hearing a radio interview that urged him men to get tested. Lord Cameron says his wife pushed him to ask his GP for a PSA test, which he now credits with catching the disease early. Coming up, though, more of tomorrow's news with our panel, including a lot more of those front pages for you. I'll be bringing you a whole raft. There's loads more news to dig into. Do you think we're on the verge of a peace deal with Russia, or is it all just going to literally blow up into World War III? Adam Brooks, lovely to see you this evening. Thank you for coming in. I will see both of you two in the next few minutes. Thank you all very much. See you shortly.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a mixed picture out there. We have an area of low pressure moving south and eastward, so rain or showers for some of us, and it's still feeling chilly. So the area of low pressure is across the northwest, and it's going to gradually sink its way south and eastwards as we go through this evening and overnight. So any outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland will sink their way into Wales, northern England, eventually towards southwest Wales and southern England, accompanied by a strong, brisk northwesterly wind, so coastal gales possible in the south. Further north, holding on to a lot of cloud, but the wind direction now coming in for a northerly. But for most of us, it's a frost-free start to Monday morning, given a lot of cloud cover and showery outbreaks of rain. So there are going to be some showers focused again across eastern Scotland, where they could be falling as snow over the mountains. Drier towards the west with some sunny spells. Best of the sunshine really across Northern Ireland. Dry here to start Monday morning. But across England and Wales, well, it's a cloudy but chilly start to the morning, with the strongest winds still across the southwest and into the English Channel. So as we go through Monday morning and into the afternoon, most of the showers across the southeast will clear their way through. Best of the sunshine across Northern Ireland, into Scotland and eventually into parts of Wales and the southwest as the cloud breaks. Then the focus for the showers really confined to eastern areas, still falling as snow across eastern Scotland. It's going to be feeling chilly out there. We hold on to more of a northerly wind, but feeling more pleasant across Northern Ireland. That leads to a cold start to Tuesday morning, especially in the west, but we actually have a ridge of higher pressure. So for most on Tuesday, it's largely fine and settled. A few showers still running down the eastern coast. Now, as we go Wednesday into Thursday, it's actually turning milder and more unsettled after a cold start. That's all from me. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, brace yourselves. It is going to be Monday for some of you watching this show, and the front pages are now filled with doom and gloom. Help us, Chancellor. Front page of the Mirror. Reeves is being warned on business taxes. Reeves to hit homes with surcharges. Reeves to hit pensioners with £800 a year in her budget. That and so much more. Honestly, it's going to be a very, very Rachel Reeves heavy show. Are you going to be one of the people paying more taxes? Find out in just a tick.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour,